Hey, welcome to Horns Up. This is episode number 71, and on a Friday, which means a lot of new music. What have you been spinning, Peter?
Fridays are always days to look forward to new albums, and something that's been on my Apple Music playlist to this morning has been Green Carnation, who've released their first album in 15 years. So the band took a break and they're back with a new album called Leaves of Yesteryear. For those of you who are into like prog, will kind of enjoy this one. So yeah, Green Carnation, Leaves of Yesteryears.
I'm going to be checking out the new Sojourner. That's some lovely atmospheric black metal. Hopefully, the entire album should be as exciting as that single was.
Yeah, they're quite an exciting band, and especially considering that they're all in different parts of the world. I don't know how the hell they manage all of it, but
Those kind of lessons are being learned by everyone this time round. So, from Saudi Arabia on Monday, this time we're traveling to Egypt to talk with a band called Scarab, which happens to be Egyptian death metal, but not to the degree that a Nile would be. But this is a band that Peter has known for a very long time, isn't it?
yeah, man. I mean, we get into a bit of it in our conversation with Sammy, but this was, I think, 2008 or nine. I think nine, where they performed. So when I lived in Dubai, there was the Dubai Desert Rock, and they used to have a competition for the bands who would open for the Desert Rock, and one of the bands performing was Hate Suffocation, which later became Scarab, and that's the first time I saw them live. And yeah, it was kind of impressive to see band from Egypt, six piece. I think they were five or six piece, but they put on a really good show. And ever since then, I've been kind of following them and seeing what they've been up to. So it was good to catch up with Sammy and just hear their whole journey and what they're doing with their new album.
Yep, the new album, which was Martyrs of the Storm, that released in March. So almost 12 years later, after you saw them in their first avatar as such. But we'll talk about that and we'll talk about it a whole lot more. So here he is. Here's Sammy from Scarab. All the way from Egypt on Hearts Up, here is Sammy. Hails.
Yeah,
What's the coronavirus scene like in Egypt?
I was just gonna say I'm self-isolating right now.
Oh,
It is so far controlled, but you never know where things are going. Like there's a big question mark.
yeah, both of us, both Peter and I, are actually locked down. So let's see where that takes us. All right. So we are here talking to you today because in March you released your third album, or Scarab released its third album, Martyrs of the Storm. But
That's right.
before we get into talking about the album, let's get to know you a little bit better. Sammy, how did you get into playing music? What was your journey like?
Um, I think it would be like anyone. It's basically trying to find heavier music and getting into more heavier music and then more heavier music and along that journey of discovering music, I decided to mingle around with the guitar, stuff like this, started to copy vocals that I listened to, and then I started covering bands like Misfits, and even um, I begin with even new metal because it was easy to play back in I think it was 2004 or something like this, or 2003. And then things started to escalate until I heard Scarab. They weren't called Scarab at this time. The name was Hate Suffocation, and I saw them live, and I was a fan. And then when I entered the band names changed to Scarab. But yeah, that's it. I mean, music is. I think it's a natural thing. Basically, I couldn't really say how it happened. It's just the evolution happened naturally. So
Is Scarab your first band?
no, no. I I was in many covering bands that covered Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth. I even had a Opeth cover band, Misfits cover band, just a lot of things, even Judas Priest. Because back in the day, there was not so much bands that performed their own music. It was more like cover bands, so Metallica band, Megadeth band, or thrash metal band, death metal band, black metal band, covers, all covers, tributes and things like this. Right now it's better. It's the other way around. There is more bands that are playing their own music, but
That's true.
okay. So yeah, many cover bands, and then later the first original band that like a band that I started to play our own original music. It's called Stigma, and it was like a mixed breed between death metal, stoner metal kind of thing. It's sludge metal, and then from there I went to Scarab, and that was it.
So, yeah, I'm glad you brought up Hate Suffocation kind of early in the conversation because in 2009, when I lived in Dubai, I watched Hate Suffocation perform at the Battle of the Bands. I think it was for the Desert Rock Festival. How did you become part of the band and meet the other members?
At that time in 2009, I had just, I don't know, no, I had just entered, but it wasn't Hate Suffocation, it was Scarab. It's just the transition was really like, it was just that the band has just changed their name from Hate Suffocation to Scarab. That's why you're
Okay.
mixing things. Because like it was just like in 2009, it was just a 1 month thing, and then we changed into a Scarab after announcing that we are going to be performing in Dubai. So
Okay.
what I want to say is how I met them is that I met them basically through my all-time friend. He's my childhood friend. His name is Muhammad Al Shirbini, or Bombist. He is the bassist at that time up until 2014, I think. He was the bassist of Scarab, and basically, I saw them live and I was a fan. To be honest, this is exactly what I was feeling. At this time, they were called Hate Suffocation here in Egypt. And I mean, the music and the tunes were like speaking to my soul somehow. So I always had this inside of me that I think this is going to go somewhere and I would love to be part of it. And then Sharif, the founder, Al Sharif Marzaban, the founder of the band, approached me and he was like, "What do you think? You want to record an album with us and see what's going to happen?" And then there was Blinding the Masses. They had 8 tracks already ready. And I hopped in and I started writing the lyrics and and jamming together and that was it basically.
So, since then I've been following the band and, I can't believe it's been 10 years. You've got your third album, Martyrs of the Storm, out now. How does it
That's
feel
cool.
now looking back at the journey so far?
It feels like every album is a phase in life, for me personally at least, and I'm sure for everyone else. It's just it feels like it's an evolution, personally, individually, and collectively, all of us. Blinding the Masses was kind of like us. I don't know how to explain this. If blinding the masses is like a seed. You know what I mean? And basically, Serpents of the Nile is the seed starting to develop roots somehow. And I believe Martyrs of the Storm is just the sprout, the first sprout that comes out that may explain a little bit what Scarab is to us. And yeah, so it's basically just a huge process of evolution. Like I personally have learned a lot um, from this entity and this band, uh, me myself. So it's kind of a life journey, very spiritual journey for me.
So, Sammy, in an interview, you described Martyrs of the Storm as and I quote you, the sound of a cosmic upheaval and alchemy that is happening inside of the human psyche, end
Mhm.
quote. Uh, what served as the inspiration for this? And could you elaborate on this point a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Basically, to be completely honest, yeah, there is a concept and everything, but the concept is some kind of a developing work. Like it develops through time. It's more honest. Like this is like there is certain energy that we are channeling, and as we are channeling this kind of energy, we start to experience things in our lives, and we start to try to make sense out of it, and that's how the concept happened with blinding the masses. After it has finished, it feels like basically an upheaval upon things that is restricting you as a human being. And for some reason, somehow, there was like a lot of revolutions in Egypt and the Arab world after this, coinciding only, but doesn't say that we speak of the future or anything like this. It's just a coincidence. But anyway, this is the feeling, this is the energy that we were channeling at this time. And then with Serpents of the Nile, it feels like the wisdom of knowing that of going through a journey until you find out that what it really is that if you want things to change, you have to change yourself, and that's how things can change around you. So you shouldn't blame things around you really, because you kind of you're the master of your own life and stuff like this. With and that's Serpents of the Nile. But with Martyrs of the Storm, it is the actual alchemy of looking into what is hindering the will from developing into this kind of freedom that we spoke about in Serpents of the Nile. So it's kind of, yeah, cosmic upheaval that is happening inside of the human psyche. It's like if someone went really deep inside into their own insecurities, into their own past lives, karmic stuff, and start to face this and deal with it. It's like when you're talking to yourself honestly, without any kind of masks, basically. And at the same time, also, it feels like a real cosmic upheaval. Like, I think it is the time where the planet itself makes a revolution upon humanity for what it has done wrong to it. So this is also part of the thing Martyrs of the Storm is talking about. So it's the two things in the same time happening inside and also outside, but that's my take on it. Like I don't write these kind of concepts based on before we work or something like this. It's a developing thing. Like I find out the concept as the album is finished through analyzing. So what the fuck does this mean? You know, like looking at it in detachment and thinking, oh, so what does this in the end actually represent? Is it just music or does it have any kind of meaning behind it? And that's when I start to interpret what it could mean and stuff like this. But everyone should make up their own mind about it. That's just my take on it.
The album was mainly composed by your guitarist Al Sharif Mirzabad and also
Yeah,
you. Did
that's
this,
right.
make the songwriting process easier or harder? What was it like?
Well, Mars is the main writer in Scarab since the beginning anyway. So that is not something that is different. It was always like this in the beginning. And also Tariq Amr, the second guitarist or the other guitarist in Scarab. So
Yeah.
both of them used to write together, but mainly it was Sharif who was writing things. Tariq wrote more into Serpents of the Nile, and when I was there, in Serpents of the Nile also I wrote some, like, I'm mainly in Serpents of the Nile, Blinding the Masses. I used to do mainly the construction kind of thing. It's mingling around, putting extra riffs here and there that could make the song more, I don't know, transitions better, stuff like this, like construction kind of thing. But with Martyrs of the Storm, there was no Tariq to write with us, so it was only me and Mars. And then, okay, so what are we gonna do right now? And then it came out this way. He would basically grab the guitar and show me riffs. I would tap them down. I had riffs also. I would tap this down, and then we started to work on the construction a bit by bit by bit by bit together. I wouldn't say this was easy. It was just it was more focused. We were more focused. It was just me and him. So basically, we were very focused. But there was, I believe that with Scarab, there is some kind of, that the Scarab itself, the entity, the ancient Egyptian Khefri, the god. I believe that there is always this kind of energy that we have to channel. It's kind of I don't know if it's destiny or what. So things were just coming to us, basically. We didn't really struggle into writing the music. There was no struggles in writing the music at all. Things were coming naturally, flowing normally, like they were. The struggles that we had afterwards is actually finding the right members to join Scarab after the members that has left. That was the hard part.
We've talked quite a bit about Martyrs of the Storm. We'd like to play a song from the album now. Which one should we play and why?
Okay. That's a really hard question because all the songs for me, there is no highlights. And they're all like interconnected somehow, and every song is important for me. What would you play? Depending on the mood. Do you want something that is really full of fiery anger, or you want something that is more lunar and it's kind of a planetary or mystical?
Let me flip that around back to you. What song do you think best represents Scarab and this album?
Okay. That's a nice question. I will say, play Kingdom of Chaos. This is a song that Mars written. He has written all of it, and this is a song that Carl Sanders from Nile is featured in at the end with a really crazy fucking solo that is really serving the concept of the song and the energy behind it. I wouldn't say that this song speaks of the whole album, but I would say play this song because it's a very important one in the album. It's a very important song.
There's no
So that was Kingdom of Chaos, and yes, that was Carl Sanders from Nile on that song. So let me just be very honest here and just hit you up with this upfront.
Mhm.
You have to have some thoughts about Nile in the first place, right? I mean, considering their proximity to death metal and well, Egyptian themes, are you a fan?
Obviously, yes. Yeah, obviously. I'm a big fan. And not just me and Mars and Tor and everyone in the band basically is a fan of Nile because basically before we even play our music, okay, there was Nile, and when I was first introduced to death metal, anyway, I was in film school here in Egypt, and there was a friend of mine. His name is Mickey, and he introduced me to Nile. He gave me two CDs, Annihilation of the Wicked and In Their Darkened Shrines. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, these two
Still,
CDs were playing on my Discman or a CD player all the time. I used to listen to them, and I fell in love. And that was before I even joined Scarab. So yeah, Nile, of course, of course we are.
Okay. Okay, so having said that, how did this collaboration with Carl come up? I mean, he's pretty chill in that way. We've had him on the podcast as well, and it was fascinating for us because he's the one who directly answered all our questions. I mean, we didn't have to go through anybody to reach him. He just did that.
That's he is like this. He is like this. This here's how it happened. Even that he joined this in this song. It was
Sure.
Sharif Marzaban is the one who approached him online. Basically, they had some kind of a kind of a friendship somehow um, online, and he put me through to him, and I wrote him some emails, and it was like I don't know how to say that. I don't want to sound cheesy, but it was like a dream come true because I'm talking to Carl Sanders, and Carl Sanders actually complimented Scarab's music, and he said that he really liked it and things like that, and that means a lot because it's coming from someone that before you even think of playing this kind of music. Uh, you used to listen to him, and I was a big fan of Nile and all the themes of Nile and the spirit of that because I'm Egyptian, and there's this band that's mainly dedicated to ancient Egypt, and it's death metal, and it's heavy, and it's fucking amazing. So I mean, yeah, it captures our souls, you know what I mean, naturally. So it basically, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that he is really down to earth. I mean, I wouldn't say down to earth. He's honest. He's just honest. He's upfront. He's honest. He's just I don't know what to say. He's a good guy. So he was writing us. Yeah, we were writing emails back and forth. He's a super good guy. Basically, that's what he is.
also in 2017, you all played opening or supporting Nile in Dubai. What was that experience like?
That was crazy also because it's like it feels like the first off he recorded this song with us, and then later on we're on stage with Nile in Dubai along with Nerve Cell, our all-time friends and brothers from Dubai. And basically yeah, it kind of felt like a dream come true because we were opening for them, and then after we finished we were listening to Nerve Cell and then Nile on stage, and they were playing all the songs that I used to listen to. That was the first time I ever see Nile on stage also, and they were playing all the songs that I used to listen to before I even enter Scarab. So it's just crazy. You get me? It was a great
Yeah.
feeling.
Okay, you touched upon this a bit earlier when you talked about, a lot of cover bands being there in Egypt. How have
Mhm.
things changed, say, in the last 15 years or so since Scarab has formed?
A lot changed because basically, I'm gonna just be honest. In 2009, before we go and we perform in Dubai, and then also perform in the same year with full force in Germany. There was no, I don't think there was no band from Egypt that would perform abroad or reach this kind of thing, like where they perform their music in front of a big crowd or on the main stage of a big festival or stuff like this. And this is not some kind of a narcissistic information that I'm giving here. What I'm trying to say is uh, there was this great disbelief that something like this can happen. Okay. And breaking this made a lot of people see light somehow. All of our friends, like there was this like portal that opened the idea that yeah, bands from Egypt, yes, we can write our own music, yes, we can record it, and yes, it can stand up internationally, and yes, we can perform our music worldwide, because there is no market here in Egypt for this kind of music. You can obviously you cannot, for example, do a tour in Egypt until now. Um, uh, so basically, right now there are more bands that throughout the years that are coming up and performing abroad, playing their own music. Two bands that comes to my mind right now are Crescent. They used to be black metal band, and then they changed their theme into also ancient Egyptian theme. And they are not right now. They write and record their own music, and they distribute it internationally, and they also perform in internationally. And also there is Audius from Alexandria. It's a black symphonic black metal band. The same thing. They also record the music. They distribute it internationally, and they perform all around. Um, and there are bands here a lot. I mean, I wouldn't say as much as anywhere else, but at least there are bands that are coming up, whether if it is extreme metal or just metal in general. And they are writing their own music. They are trying to have an appearance online, things like this. So yeah, it is growing. Basically, it is manifesting a bit by bit. It's really slow but steady. But the only problem is we don't have a market here. There are no labels in Egypt. There would be a show every once in a while. The biggest show I believe is Metal Blast, because they also host international bands from abroad, like Swallow the Sun, and I don't remember what else, but yeah, like big bands, and they would make this big band the main act, and other Egyptian bands opening for them. So this is all in all very positive, but it happens every once in a while. So basically, it's not like when you are in Europe or North America, for example, where you can tour, where there is a show every day. Not to say that there is right now this epidemic that is, or pandemic, or however you would pronounce that virus that is going on that canceled every show in Egypt. It's not like where if you are from North America or located in North America or located in Europe, where you can perform a show every now and then. I mean, every day if you want, even, because you can do a tour and stuff like this. That's the only problem. Just the idea of not having a market, not having a big scene, not having this as a flourishing industry. That's the only problem that anyone face. So basically, the music for us right now, for me and for a band like Scarab, it turns into more of not a business kind of thing at all. It is basically some kind of a message. Do you get it? Because basically we don't own a penny, just so everyone would know. From the first time that we started until now, we didn't own a penny, and I'm not joking, from this music. So it's really hard, you know?
Yeah, totally. Because it's kind of the similar picture right here in India too. Most metal bands that I know of don't really make a living out of their music. They do it because it's a passion. They do it because it's something that needs to be done. And the economic side of it, obviously, that takes a backseat because, yeah, even in a country like India, even though we are a country of so many people,
Mhm.
it's really not a huge, heavy market for metal as such.
But
All
we
right,
Yeah,
would
that's
love to
true.
come and perform in there is a Bangalore
open air.
Oh,
Yeah.
festival.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a sick one. So that's a good one too.
All
yeah.
right. Okay. So, talking about the metal scene there, what I'd really like to pick your brains about a little bit is, do you think there's anything called Egyptian metal? I mean, nearly a decade or so earlier,
Mhm.
Indian metal was, getting its moment in the global, or not the global, like the American and the European press, etc. But most
Mhm.
bands today from
Mhm.
India, they don't really relate to the Indian metal tag. What are your thoughts about Egyptian metal as such?
Okay, that's a complicated one because basically
Yep.
this for I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
This kind of music is not influenced directly from our culture because it comes from abroad. You get me? So I mean,
Yeah.
when you listen, when I first listened to a metal band, it was an Egyptian one. So that's a good start. So bands like Slayer, Metallica, a band like Opeth, which is from Sweden, a band like Dimmu Borgir, which is from Norway, things like that. Um, that's basically what initiated us into the music itself, like the craft, how it should sound like, what equipment to use, things like this. This is all not invented by us, or it wasn't part of our culture anyway. So what I'm trying to say is that the tools itself aren't. But here's the thing. Here's what I have figured out, and I think it has a lot of truth in it. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
the scales or the tunes of the music when it comes to Egypt, um, for example, the harmonic minor scale,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah.
or the minor scales anyway, or something like the tritone, which they call
Mm-hmm.
the devil's note or the devil's
Yep.
scale or whatever, and interval chords and things like this, and even sometimes also techniques like tremolo picking and things like this. This is all in our music.
Yep.
It's really deeply rooted. Like basically, if
Yep.
you listen to a oud player, or they
Mm-hmm.
call it lute, also the
Yep.
lute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
You can see that the intervals, the harmonic minor scales, and every kind of evil sounding things like the tritone and things like that, it's all there in our music, and it's not forbidden, and it's not of the devil, and it's not evil. It's just it's basically natural to us. And I think and I believe that all of the bands that I used to listen to um, have had this implemented into their music consciously or unconsciously. And so here's the thing: I believe that Egyptian metal, we are playing, we are influenced heavily by bands that are not from Egypt, of course. But in the same time, we are kind of portraying it a little bit differently, since we are from Egypt. But the craft itself, it doesn't come from Egypt. So there is like a kind of a mixed breed. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you listen to a band like Audios,
Okay.
Okay.
you will find a lot of Egyptian influences there in their music. If you listen to Crescent, also it's the same. And if you listen to us, you will also feel that there are a lot of like Egyptian kind of scales and it's just mainly coming from our culture, because basically if you listen to pop music in Egypt, you will find these scales. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
no.
joking.
I completely, yep, I absolutely get that because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, we are all a product of what we grew up with, and um, those kind of sounds and those kind of melodies, they come to us naturally, even if we might not really want them
Mhm.
to, be something like constructed in our minds as such, but it just comes to us naturally.
Like for example, I want to talk about something. There's a band I really love. Their name is Cult of Fire. They're a black metal
Yep.
band, and
Yeah.
Yep.
they are their themes are dedicated to Hinduism and things like this.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
believe so.
Yep.
And I think in general,
Mm.
ethnic or Oriental music um, it very much matches the identity of metal anyway. In all the bands, like Iron Maiden, even any kind of band, you will always find either an album or a song or a couple of songs that does have this kind of ethnic feel to it. Um, and it's not strange because it's how can I say, it's deep and occult, and it has a lot of mystery, so everyone is drawn to it. And I think I am not fond, like I'm a bad person. I don't go and fetch for music anymore. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening actually in India right now.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think, of course, I have a feeling that the scene in India is stronger than Egypt, anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
like
It may
like
seem.
is there a band like Cult of Fire that is coming from India? You get my point?
There was a band
Hmm.
called Infernal Wrath, which pretty much
Yeah.
did what Cult of Fire really
Hmm.
came to be known for. And of course, you have
Ah.
Yep.
Demonic Resurrection, which is
Mhm.
probably the biggest metal band that India has seen still.
Yeah.
And they did
Yeah.
a lot of inclusion of Vedic themes, etc., into their last album. But on the other flip side, you also have bands like Cryptos, which don't have that Indian sound at all, and or even
Okay.
Gutslit for that matter, which is a another really huge band that's coming out of India, which plays straight up grindcore music. Um,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing really Indian about it, apart from the fact that it's made by
From in.
guys who have an Indian passport.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think you don't have to implement always like, if you're
but
just honest, if you love what you do, just do it.
yeah. Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
but there's one very, very, very cool point that you mentioned in this previous answer, which was about ethnicities and metal as such. So, let me just ask you about this. What is metal to you?
Um, just basically, it's rebellion. That's how I feel it. It's rebellion, and it is individuality. That's what it represents to me. Rebellion, individuality. Once you find yourself into it, I don't think you're gonna go out of it. I have not. I have not witnessed anyone that did. So it's
Yeah.
basically it's either it's meant for you or it isn't. I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
You know how
yeah,
they say about Slayer
very
fans,
hard
right?
to say. Or yeah, it's very hard to say
yeah.
what metal is. So because basically, as I was growing up, I tried to find myself in many kind of forms of music. But the heavier it gets, the more pleased I become. So I don't know. It's just metal is something that it's either it captures your soul and it's meant for you or not. I don't know. So, but it does represent individuality and rebelling upon, um, um, let's say, any kind of boundaries, fallacies, things like that.
Yep, and that's I guess the why metal has so many fans and followers all around the world, because those are
That is
themes that everybody uh, ends up thinking about, or at least needing to think about or
That's right.
vent about or something of that sort.
That's right. Yeah.
So, Sammy, it's been great talking to you all this time, but I have one final question for you.
That's
You've
cool.
got a new album, you've got a new lineup. What is next for Scarab?
Okay. Right now, we like first of all, we're very happy that we could finally put something out that it feels like we had a heavy burden. Okay, huge energy that we had to let out, and I think it's out in the right time. And in the same time, right, we had a plan to tour and perform this for to support the album. So, but it didn't happen. And the same case with any band out there. We're all the same. Right now, what's next for Scarab is writing new material and staying steady and witnessing what's going on in the world and staying safe and wishing everyone else safety. And it's a hard situation what's going on right now, and I think it is also I wouldn't want to say things like this, but it's also good for the planet itself, like the thing that is hosting us all, because I believe that systems are going to change. Things like this are going to change for better, to serve us better. It's like a part of evolution. Sometimes bad things has to happen so people can evolve, and for old ways to die and new things to come. Um, and we're there, and we're full of life, and we will write music, and hopefully 2021 would be a good year for everyone.
I truly can't say anything better than that. We all hope at the moment
You
that
can.
2021 is much better for everyone in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So there it was. That was Scarab. And I guess that's all the time we have for this week's Horns Up, or rather for this Friday's Horns Up, considering we're doling out 2 episodes per week. We're looking out for quite a lot of, opinion-driven episodes in the future. So if you guys want to share your opinions with us, really talk metal, analyze it, fanboy over stuff, why don't you get in touch with us? We're at hornsuppod.com. And you can also reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at Asmani.
And I'm Trend Crusher.
So till the next time, horns up, guys.
Horns up.